Hello and welcome to Framewreck. This month we are going to be talking about Matt. What are you doing?
I just can't get enough of these Blue Diamond Extremes almonds.
Okay, but we're filming right now. Let's start again from the top.
Sorry, Dyl. These are just so healthy and delicious. I can't help myself sometimes. These are ghost pepper flavored. Then they also come in cayenne and Carolina Reaper.
Are they pretty spicy?
Yes, but in the best way. You know, when that delicious spice really hits, I like to wash it down with an ice cold Diet Coke.
All right, hold on, wait, cut right here. Matt, are these companies paying us for the advertisement?
Dylan, you're beautiful but dumb. You have to do the product placement first, and then they will pay you.
Matt, yeah, no, I don't think that's how it works at all.
Trust me on this. We've done a good job here. In fact, we deserve a little treat for our efforts. How about America's finest chocolate in history? This advertisement has been brought to you in part by Framewreck.
What a story, Mark.
Hello everyone, this is our real intro. Welcome to Framewreck, the show about so bad they're good movies. Are they real train wrecks? Are they cinematic, underrated masterpieces? We answer all the ins and outs and in-betweens, but I can't do that by myself. I'm joined with my co-host, as always, Matt Chapmond. Matt Chapmond, I don't know if you need another sip of Diet Coke to wash down those spicy nut flavors, but how you doing?
Well, I could have used just regular almonds and pretended like they were spicy, but no, ghost pepper.
Yeah, of course.
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right.
And Matt, tell us why in the world are we opening on such a blatant advertisement for advertisements for product placement? Maybe we're talking about a movie that features maybe some of the greatest or worst product placement of all time. Matt, tell us what we're talking about.
Most infamous for sure. Yes, we're talking about Mac and Me from 1980. Was that 1989? Oh, I should have known this. I should have had this right up. Hold on. 1988. Sorry.
Yeah.
1989.
Most people probably didn't see it till 1989. Like it probably
true.
got the legs, like kind of like Greatest Showman, where it wasn't a hit, and then like over time, I don't know. I wasn't alive for it, but I assume it was like the most popular movie of all time, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's part of the Amblin logo, right? The kid in the bike, or the alien in the bike, or is that a different movie I'm thinking about?
That's a completely different movie. We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
But no, yeah, we're talking about Mac and Me, which we mentioned last time, but is a movie I had never seen, but you actually had seen. This was a switch for what we normally do here.
Yeah, and I had seen it at the wee ages of every movie's great because it's a movie. And I gotta admit, this rewatch, I can admit now, because sometimes on the show we say like, "Oh, that movie wasn't that bad. It was just like maybe not appreciated at the time." No, this movie is dog shit. But I still find things that I admire about it because they're bad, and that's also kind of the point of our show, is to find the things that we love because they are just outright terrible,
Right.
and not just from the product placement, but all the other things as well.
Well, let's just get into it because I'd like to address that because, like I said, I had never seen it, and so this is my first viewing. A little peek behind the curtain. I'm going to open the kimono for a moment and mention that this is the fourth time we've tried filming this episode. So I've watched it 5 times since we last.
See, now I feel
because
bad that I delayed it so much because I was
but I delayed it too, so it wasn't just all you.
Yeah, we both took part in delaying.
I like to watch it and then watch it like right before the shit. So that we like the day of the thing, just so I have it fresh in my mind.
Wait, Matt, you watched Mac and Me 5 times in the last 2 months because the last time we recorded was Shockma.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So it's been less than 2 months at least. So we kept delaying it, but
Matt has watched it 5 times.
Okay.
I've watched it 5 times. And Hoopla, which is where I had it, must think I just love this movie because I've checked it out from Hoopla. Well, I checked it out 4 times. They were like, enough people have watched this. This guy watched it 4 times. We have to get it off here. So they don't have that in anymore. But it is on YouTube. So I watched it today on YouTube.
Wow.
But anyway, so I would like to address that they were, yes, it's a very bad movie. However, on my 5th viewing today, I was like, it's bad, but like it's I have 3 kids. They range from 11 years old down to 3 years old. So they I watch all kinds of garbage that they watch, and most of it is just like whatever. Honestly, this was about on par with some of the things that my kids make me watch. So it's bad, but it's definitely like a kid bad. And I think there are a lot of things in here to love and a lot of things to make fun of, which is what we're here to do.
Sure thing. So Matt, how does the show work? Like, it'll lead us into what we kind of talk about first.
First, just a quick synopsis of MattMXIII. If you've never seen it, please go watch it. There's a couple versions on YouTube. They're not as great quality. It's not on Hoopla anymore, and no one rents it. I think it's on Canopy, which my library doesn't participate in. So
no, and if you've never even heard of it, I mean, it's got great stars like Drew Barrymore's in it. Henry Thomas, who went on to do some of the Mike Flanagan stuff, is in it. It's Dee Wallace. It's got a pretty great cast.
Dyl. Again, you're thinking of a different movie.
Oh, am I? Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, it's late. It's my bad. Yeah, sorry, Matt. Continue. I'll let you talk. Sorry.
No, you're good. This is like a cold.
You think this is the second time this gag is going to come up, but kid you not, I will try my best to make it happen at least every 5 minutes.
Oh no, yeah. So basically, it's about an alien who gets an alien and his family who get sucked off their planet. Ooh. Oh no!
Put it on a t-shirt. Put it on a t-shirt.
The first Dyl Pickle merch right there, sucked off their planet.
Everyone's gonna have a different shirt. There's gonna be like the picture this one, which is kind of like nice and official, like best picture-y, and then you got like Recipe for Reality, which is kind of like, you know, maybe like a nice chef's apron. And then you got Framewreck, which just sucked off my planet. After chowing down on some spicy nuts.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, this episode. Okay. Okay.
Sponsored
yeah. Say goodbye to products to sponsorships for this episode. No, they get removed from their planet by a NASA spaceship, and then antics ensue when they escape from the laboratory, and one of them befriends a young disabled boy named, I think his name was Eric. Yes, Eric. Yeah. So that is the broad strokes of this movie. For what I'm going to do right now is tell you about kind of a little bit of how it came to be, although I'm not going to go into as much detail as normal because it is going to come up later, and it's very, very interesting to me. But so it was written by Stuart Raphael and Steve Feck. I don't know. Oh, man.
Could have gotten a t-shirt from that too if you had mispronounced that. But,
and directed by Stuart Raphael. And it was created in the wake of another movie. I don't remember the title, but we'll get into that here soon. All right. And so now what we do is we talk about what makes this movie great. And I'd like to start talking about the aliens, the Mac family.
The Mac family. Yes. The Hamburglar, the Ronald McDonald, the whole Mac family.
No, not those, Mac. But we talk about them too.
I wonder, do you think, I mean, obviously Mac stands for something, mysterious alien creature, but do you think there was a double entendre there? Like, we have it. It's like a layup. It's almost too perfect. Or do you think they saw the name was Mac and then went, hey, let's see if we can find the most Mac-friendly advertiser ever? Like, how do you think the name was inspired by the product was inspired by the name, or do you think it just was a pure coincidence? A movie called Mac and Me would have the most McDonald's representation of any movie, commercial, television ever. And I know
I have the answer to that, and we will come to it later.
Okay,
it's not an answer. It's not an answer specifically to how they come up with the name Mac, but it is about how the McDonald's situation happened. Okay, and we'll get to that later. Yeah, we'll get to the product placement.
It's too coincidental, and usually Matt is a much better student than I am in terms of actually researching all this shit. I'm just watching the movie and like, coming to these realizations, and I should be looking this stuff up. But it poses a good question because the viewers are probably wondering the same thing. How in the world does a movie about McDonald's have a main character named Mac? It's too coincidental.
Right. Yeah, you don't need. In fact, don't. This is probably a better production note for later. But don't look anything up. That's my job. I want to be able to tell it to you.
Makes my job easier.
Yeah.
I only have to watch 13 movies average a month for this channel.
Let's start with the makeup, with the alien design. Tell me, as a child who watched this movie, how did you feel back then about
it? I again, I'm not a joke, but like I have to bring it to E.T. because E.T. is the first movie I ever said that scared the shit out of me as a kid. I could not watch it if it was on. I couldn't watch Nickelodeon for 2 months because they were showing it on Nickelodeon, and I knew when it was on, so I knew to avoid it. But even when I was watching something else like Drake and Josh or SpongeBob, the commercials would advertise later showings of E.T. So I had to stop watching Nickelodeon just so I could avoid commercials for E.T. because the alien from that scared me. Now imagine taking the thing that traumatized your fears as a kid and then showing the most terrifying version of that. That's what this was to me. And that's why, like, when I say this was a nostalgic favorite, this was a favorite for the fact that, like, when I was finally at the age to get past the fear of ET, I went to it and I was like, all right, I'm going to actually, like, try this. I'm going to try to go for it. And I was like, oh, like, this is kind of interesting. And but the alien always was creepy, and it still is. Like, it's terrifying. It's supposed to be cute, I guess, and I think it's cutest when it's like in its little red hoodie and it's kind of being carried like a little baby. But when he's on his own, just full nude, and he's just kind of like, you know, bouncing around and jiggling around with his, you know, kind of shriveled up skin, like it's kind of nasty, and kind of off-putting and definitely scary. And as a kid who had the fear of ET, I mean, maybe the fact that it was so ridiculous, maybe I was scared less of this just because it was a little sillier. I don't know. Definitely traumatized me though. So I don't know why this was a favorite. I don't know why I was so intoxicated by this. It's maybe like addiction. Like, it's not good for you, but you can't get enough of it. I don't know.
As far as E.T., I was also, it also terrified me when I was a kid, but not E.T. himself, like not the extraterrestrial himself specifically.
But more so like the vibe of the movie?
No, like the movie was great. I could watch almost all the movie until it got to the point where they showed him all like white and like, and
dog
like
poop?
dying.
Yeah.
Like at that point, like that terrified me. And that's probably where my anxiety regarding death comes from.
Oh yeah. I mean, when he's, you know, down by the river and the raccoons are eating at him, I'm like, oh. Yeah, no, not good.
Yeah, I didn't always watch. I watched that movie a lot. I didn't always watch the end of it, because that terrified me.
You got to the flight, and then after he soared past the moon, you're like, credits. The end.
I was like, yeah, that was a beautiful ending. So the ET design I could see how it's scary, but it makes complete sense, at least.
Oh yeah,
and it's beautiful design and just wonderful craftsmanship.
Yes.
The Mac
now
family,
I can acknowledge that. Yes, like I actually do enjoy it now. It still creeps me out a little bit, but I love it now. Favorite Spielberg movie.
The Mac family is so weird. Like I can't even describe what's wrong with them, except that it's part of it is just the plastered no emotion face that they have, but also like I don't know. I can't explain it.
For me, it's the bodysuit. For me, it's the tight-formed, brown, tannish, like right to the skin, kind of shrivelly, kind of little warts here and there. Like, to me, that's the part that always gets me. Because I think with ET, it's like also the way it's framed and shot and lit and stuff. Like, you know, kind of all the ins and outs of every crevice, but here it's like there's almost like no nuance in the way they shot this. So like it's all just plain out in the open. Like, it's almost like they need some sort of clothes or some sort of like shading or dimly shadowed light or something to make it look less in your face, but it's not.
It's weird to me when aliens don't wear clothes, and not because I'm like a weird shame response or anything, but like we're like, there's a reason we wear clothes. Like, it's not just modesty. Like, there is a protection element to it. Like, like, at least for me, and this is possibly because I'm almost a never dude. I don't like to be without clothes. So when I see that, I'm like, wouldn't they just be more comfortable if they put some shorts on? Like,
right. and even if it's not like human clothing, like that thing is like a plant or something, like
something between your ass and the ground if you need to sit down, like that's and yes, the bodysuits, the weird like old man face that all of them have. Like ET has that too, but it's almost like.
And the thing is, E.T.'s expressive. He's got movement to his face when he's perplexed. Like I love the scene where he's watching the TV and his eyes kind of get big, and stuff like that. Whereas here, it's like it's
all
not
Mac,
that. It's the same.
All Mac does is move his mouth that only does the straw. Like it's funny because like they had to make a mouth that would work with a straw, but not one that could move at all. Like so that's really what the situation with his mouth is. So okay, so this spacecraft lands on Mac's planet and sucks them up. Maybe there's a good answer to this, but I have no idea what that vacuum arm was meant to do.
Nope.
Maybe pick up rocks or randomly just suck at the first thing that it came to and then leave, because that's what it did. It sucked them up and then just immediately left.
Yeah.
So
and that's another thing. I hate to keep bringing it back, but like E.T., they established why the aliens were doing what they're doing. The technology, like they are botanists and they are looking for life, and like this is their technology they use. Like they established that world. They actually thought about what these aliens, like what that foreign technology is. And here it's just like, oh, we need to suck them up and we need to do this and we need to do that, rather than, oh, here's why these characters would be using these things, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's weird, but it's whatever. It's just, hey, we need to get to the rest of this movie. Is really what that scene is. But then they get to the medical to the laboratory, and they escape so easily. And then they just walked openly down the street. In apparently like the family goes a different way or whatever, but they just walk openly down the middle of the street, not being stealthy at all. I have like it doesn't make any sense to me that they weren't just immediately caught.
Right.
And it's so easy for them to get out. Like they were like, and again, this is all they're just trying to get to the rest of the movie, but some explanation that made any sense would have been, I don't know. It's just it's so weird. Like if they had if they could turn invisible or something like that, probably would have made even the Mac stuff, the Mac and Eric stuff better. Like,
yeah, no, they can't
adding
be invisible.
that element. Yeah,
no, yeah, all they can do is use their fingers to heal wounds by touching them.
No, that's E.T. again.
Ah.
Yeah, I know, very confusing. They're so close and so close in quality. We can't hold it off any longer. We have to talk about the product placement.
Yeah, because it happens so early too.
Yeah, it does, and it starts early. And Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Skittles were clearly trying to get that E.T. Reese's Pieces money. They were like that. They were all like, if only we had been the thing that alien loved. We would just be really like, that's clearly what's happening here. Like they all want to be Reese's Pieces because they get almost equal screen time. Maybe Skittles gets less. Skittles just gets the flash by, here, eat these, and he likes them. Like that's fine. But Coca-Cola is the healing elixir, apparently, and also apparently a natural resource from Mac's planet, it seems.
Yeah,
and brings his species back to life, or at least rejuvenates them from near death.
I'd almost like
Coca-Cola.
I almost like to believe that might have hurt their business, because like when you're drinking a Coke now, you're just thinking like, this is some weird juice that the aliens found up in their planet. Like that wouldn't appeal to me. I wouldn't want to drink it. I'd be like, oh god, what's in this? Yeah, it's like some medicine for aliens. I don't know.
Like I have to assume that in that universe, like that sucky arm, maybe that's the answer. That sucky arm was there to get the Coke. It was there to get the Coca-Cola to bring back to Earth because we were running short on our supply of Coca-Cola. Okay. Producer R.J. Lewis, who had previously worked with the advertising on the advertising campaigns for McDonald's, and had an association with their charitable arm, Ronald McDonald House Charities. which my wife's a nurse. There's a Ronald McDonald House right next to her work because she works in a children's hospital. So I'm familiar with these places.
Yeah.
They're a very good cause and
yes,
excellent.
charity. Check them out.
Yeah. R.J. Lewis explained that at the time, Ronald McDonald was even more well-known than Santa Claus, but E.T. was close behind, and thus felt that the next generation needed an E.T. of their own. E.T. came out in 1982.
6 years.
6 years. This movie came out in 1988. 6 years. That generation already had an ET. His name was ET. Like, oh my God, that's like saying, I guess we need an Age of Ultron for this generation. Like, we just had one of those. Like, it's we have one and we watch them. But no, it's so. Okay, I would like to address this claim that Ronald McDonald was even more well-known than Santa Claus. Now, Dyl, you're younger than me. So you may have missed Ronald McDonald at his height of the 90s since you were born at the end of those. But he was everywhere. On every commercial break was Ronald McDonald. He was a big deal. Even in this movie, he is credited as Ronald McDonald. The poor actor who played Ronald McDonald did not get credit.
Yeah.
He was credited as Ronald McDonald.
The Star Wars Holiday Special curse of, you're only your character.
Yeah. So he was a big deal. Not more well known than Santa Claus. The jolly fellow who is known the world over.
I don't know, Matt. I mean, Santa only comes once a year. Ronald McDonald could come every day.
Again, with the phrasing on this channel today.
Sorry. But you know what I mean. Like, you can get McDonald's every day. Or you Christmas every day. So maybe that's what they were going at, is like people are more consciously thinking about Ronald McDonald year round. I'd agree. Like, ask any person on the street who's more popular. I think you're going to get an answer, even at the time.
Maybe, but some of us keep Christmas in our heart all year round. So
right. Looking at you, Chad.
So anyway, Lewis was required to negotiate the rights to use McDonald's brand and its elements within the film. He pitched this product or this movie as a cross-promotional endeavor to promote the restaurants and with its profits help support the Ronald McDonald House charity. So this was created. This movie was specifically created as a marketing tool for McDonald's.
Oh my God. Well, now it makes sense. The whole Mac and me thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Wait. So this, so this is literally an extended commercial, basically.
Yes, this is completely a commercial. This was created.
Intentional.
Yeah, intentional. Hold on. You want that? My 3-year-old was hungry, and luckily I had America's favorite chocolate bar.
I was about to say, I was going to say, you better get McDonald's on speed dial, because if we can get McDonald's delivered while this stream is going, I'm kidding.
So this was, they did not mention if Mac was named specifically for that, but it has to be. I mean, that has to be the case, right?
When was the Big Mac created? Before or after this movie? Because that's what I want to know. Because
I mean, they mentioned the Big Mac, but no, the Big Mac is. I remember the Big Mac's been around for a long time. I remember in junior high, like it turned 30 while I was in junior high. Or something.
1967, 68. Okay, okay. So the Big Mac had been around, but I wonder if this even needed sales for that, because everyone was seeing Mac and Me. And well, I gotta ask also. I mean, we'll get into like. I don't know, how popular was this movie? Like, did you see this as a kid? I mean, you didn't see this as a kid.
I didn't.
Did
you know
about this movie as a kid?
I didn't know about this movie as a kid. I had always seen. There's a specific shot that I'd always seen, and it's from a scene that would later become very famous. But I never saw the part. I never saw the wheelchair part. But I would see I'd seen the part where he pops up in the foreground with like the bad like green screen effect behind him of the background. I had seen that shot many times, but I didn't know what it was from. So no, I didn't actually know anything about this movie. Maybe I saw it on the shelf or something like that. Like the idea of hearing about MattmanXIII, like I'm sure I worked at a video store, so I'm sure I'd seen it on the shelves and stuff like that. However, I didn't really know what it was until Paul Rudd started doing his recurring bit on Conan.
So do you want to bring that up now? I mean,
we can bring that up now. Yeah,
because that's what most people know it from, at least like my generation, like the newer generation. You know, Paul Rudd would go on Conan O'Brien, would introduce like either a new movie he was doing or a show, or just be there and be like, yeah, I have this new clip to show from this movie I would do. And then he would play the clip and it would transition. It would cut to this classroom where this guy is doing a dissection of frogs. And then, you know, the aliens at home watching TV, drinking beer. And then, right? Am I right?
No, that's not from this movie. That's from E.T. again.
Oh, right. No, so the scene that Paul Rudd would show would be this kid, like, you know, it's the shot of the kid getting rolled down the hill with the wheelchair. But he did this joke so many times that, like, you would think that Conan would be like, all right, haha, you're not going to fool me. But he would just keep doing it, and he would find creative ways to do it. He'd be like, oh no, this time I just have like a clip to listen to. It's just a podcast thing. It's like, okay, let's play it. Or someone else would promote it, and then Paul Rudd would walk out. You know, like the gag has gotten so creative, but it's still going. And that's what's so impressive about this one single gag is it's like at least 10 years old at this point, this gag. And it's like, he's still finding ways to sneak it into Conan's show. And Conan had probably in on it, you know, obviously, but like just the fact that he's able to trick the viewers and like that it's not going to be MattmanXIII and then it is like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Sorry, my kid turned this light off, and so that's why the weirdness right now.
I like the mood lighting. I like it. It's good. It's good.
Anyway, so so I had not didn't know much about it until that gag, and then it's like, okay, but yeah, I'd never seen it, but I could tell you, we can go over that part of the legacy now. It's like I could tell you it was not well received. It was panned back then. It didn't do. Let me see if I can get you a number here.
It was one of very few films to get a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That has since been changed because one critic decided I like it. Yeah. And now it's like 2 or 3%.
Yeah. It was for a long time a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It grossed $6 million. It grossed $6 million in the U.S., but it was a box office bomb because it had a $13 million budget. So it did lose money. I mean, $6 million in 1988 money is not. I mean, that's better than $6 million today. However, we probably wouldn't do that kind of budget on this movie today. Right. And also theater, like going to the theater, I think we didn't have as many options for entertainment back then. So so $6 million, it's not the worst, but it's not good. It's a bomb.
Especially when they're trying to make E.T. numbers, which is
right.
Like,
yes, exactly.
At the time, I believe the highest grossing of all time, if not top 5, not top 2.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Many people claim that that McDonald's partly paid for the movie, although they deny that, and so does Lewis. Everybody involved denies it, but they appear that. But McDonald's is heavily used in this movie. Ronald McDonald they did not want to use Ronald McDonald in the movie, but used him anyway. I have not been able to find out like if they changed their mind or if the director just went rogue and put him in there. But it was the guy who played Ronald McDonald in commercials at the time. He was also in the trailer. Ronald McDonald was, and he claims now that he is still the only person in the universe that ever had exclusive motion picture rights to the McDonald's trademark, their actors, their characters, and the whole company. So yeah, so if that's true, I don't know that, but that's what he claims. So that is how this movie came to be. It's completely a McDonald's product. It's completely it's completely a McDonald's advertising campaign.
And I gotta say, the scene I mean, not to show my hand, but one of the scenes I like is that dance number. It's a well choreographed dance number in this McDonald's, and it's it's got some good dancers in it doing some cool things. I was like, it's not In the Heights or West Side Story, but it's good. It's good.
I love that scene, but I don't. I love it for the other reason. I love it because it's my train. I'll just show my hand here. It's my train wreck moment of the movie.
Oh,
that whole scene.
What's he doing? I don't know.
That scene is so bonkers. Like, I love it. But it's not just that. It's everything that happens within that scene. The teddy bear. That that no one seems to be questioning. The fact that it gets up and dances as well, and they think that is a lot of my stuff at the end is going to be tied to this very scene, so I'm not going to necessarily spill all of it. But oh my god, that scene! It is well choreographed. It is well choreographed, but unlike something like a musical where you expect that it's part of the fantasy of this movie, like songs and dance numbers in a musical are they exist in the magical reality of that thing. This dance number seems to be a distraction. Everybody seems to know that it's there. The characters are using it to their benefit because it is such a strange occurrence, but it is happening, and all of these people just know this dance. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful scene. It's also just very, very bad, and that's why I love it. So that's McDonald's involvement. There's a quote here. It's not my least favorite quote. I think it's actually one that I like here, which is okay. This is part of actually something that I really like about this movie, and that is the family dynamic in this movie.
Okay. Yeah.
So I come from a divorced family. It was just me and my mom and my sister. And to see and one thing I love about E.T. is that it also handles divorce really well. Like divorce, a single mom raising her kids, like it handles that really well. This movie, I don't think it's enough credit for how well it handles a dysfunctional family, because those three are so tight, and I love that because that's real, that's true. It's very rare, especially at the time, to see a movie where the siblings don't hate each other. You rarely see that where there's a little brother and the older brother's just a dick to him and the little brother hates him. These two got along. They had a great there was a few little things here and there that you'd expect from a brother, but they got along. They didn't hate each other, and I love that. The mom, she was working jobs, so she had to leave. But she loved her kids, and there's something about the family dynamic I really love. So this quote here, it's clearly it almost feels like it's part of the product. It is part of the product placement here, because Michael, the older brother, says, "You know what I feel like?" And Eric says, "A Big Mac." And Michael says, "The man's a psychic." And I love that interaction because it felt like, I don't know, it felt like a real brotherly moment, and I love that. And yes, it was to promote their Big Mac, but it also was a nice little family moment. So that's a thing that I will say that I love about this movie is how they treat a family, especially a broken family. So
for sure. Yeah. And I think with that also, I mean, we can kind of talk a little bit about not necessarily like the bad ones, but I think the performances, the dialogue is the worst part about the performances. I think the actors aren't going out of their way to make it bad. Like, I think they're trying genuinely to convey these lines. I mean, Christina Ebersole plays the mother, and she's a very renowned Broadway name, and like I know who she is. She was just on Broadway with Patti LuPone a few years ago. So like I like the actual dynamic of the family, and I think a lot of that is also due to the performances. I don't think the performances are that terrible. Like, finding a worse performance is not easy.
No, it's not.
I
agree.
think
I think the performances are pretty good, considering, like, especially most of them are just 80s performances. Like, 80s wasn't just it wasn't the stellar year for performances. I mean, there were some great performances in the 80s, but the majority of the movies you watch in the 80s, even the good movies, were mostly just that kind of stilted soap opera-y acting, and that's really what you're getting here. And they're not bad. They're in fact, a lot of them are pretty good. It's I'll say this, but Christina Ebersole, I absolutely adore her. I really love Christina Ebersole. So and I thought she was great in this movie. I thought she played the mother really, really well.
But she's also from TV stuff too. It's just that's more of your generation. Like, I didn't know her except for her Broadway stuff. But yeah, like she's a very well known name in comparison to other actresses we talk about on Framewreck. Like, she had a substantial career, worked after, which is a good sign. Yeah, some of the other actors I don't think worked again. But
and this wasn't like a Roddy McDowall where you're just like, what are you doing? Like, why like what are you doing here? You know, like, this is rock. This feels like your rock bottom. That's not what this feels like to her. Like, it's clear she's doing her best in a movie. She's pretty much carrying them, like, the performances in the movie. Although, again, the rest of them were really good. The kids were good. Like, I wasn't annoyed by them at all.
And I like how casted a kid who was in a wheelchair. Like, they didn't try to like cast a kid and put him in a wheelchair. I don't even know if he would have been in a wheelchair had it been a different actor. Like, I don't think they were seeking out probably a kid with a wheelchair. I just think because he was the actor they wanted, they kind of changed some lines around to include it. I think they went out of their way to be like, he needs to be in a wheelchair. We need to get a kid who's gonna be in a wheelchair. Like, I think they were just like, this is a good talented kid. Let's have a part.
I also part of the story. I agree, and I love how they handled that that part of the movie, or that aspect of the movie. Like, they never treated him like he was weird or like there was something wrong with him. In fact, like, anytime they did address it, it was like almost like a little peek into that side, that world, because like when the mom is coming to pick him up for the McDonald's party, he wheels out and she's like, how do we do this? And he was like, I'm going to sit up front. You're going to put this in the trunk. You know, like he had it down and he had to explain it to her, and it was all done very respectfully. Yeah. I really dig that. There are a few things that I think that things like that where they handle it respectfully. There are a couple places where they don't handle it respectfully at all. One of the things is the wheelchair down the hill thing. Like, that wheelchair aspect was used as a comedy thing. Like, there's another part, and okay, look, people with disabilities can do a lot of things. They overcome a lot. But perhaps if your wheelchair-bound son says he didn't redecorate your house, and those decorations include things that are unlikely he would ever be able to manage on his own, maybe you should believe him, because he probably could not have done what Mac did to that house. I mean, sure, maybe he could have. I feel like it's unlikely. I feel like the fact that somebody else did it is more believable than my son in this wheelchair put things high up on the wall. Like, brought in a fake deer into my house. Like, I feel like somebody else doing it, as he said, is way more likely than her blaming him. But that's I really dig that aspect, and they use a disabled person. It's very progressive because it's something that we still are dealing with to this day, is representation, making sure that people are playing, like, we're giving an opportunity to marginalized groups, and that we are giving a chance to those people when needed for film. Like I dig that. So, well, I've lost my. There we are. Okay. This, I want to talk about the action of the movie, like the things that happen, like the chases, and we talked about the hill. I want to talk about the explosion at the end, or toward the end. Okay, so the way that they edited that scene made it seem on my first viewing, and I could still see why I thought this on subsequent viewings, but on my very first viewing, it looked like the way that they edited it, it looked like the building that all of the other kids were in front of was the one that exploded. So I was like, oh my God, did they just kill all of the kids except for the one who just ran away? But no, it was the other one, and he apparently died briefly. And but that also gave way to the almost hilarious scene of his silhouette in front of this. He's just like laying like
that shot. You already played your hand that the McDonald's dancing was your Framewreck moment. This is mine. It's that shot with like the little black speck and then the whole big explosion. It's like one of the worst like uses of visual effects I think I've ever seen, and for a movie that is mostly practical, like the actual aliens are practical, a lot of the actual action sequences, a lot of the locations are practical. The fact that you do have this one very CGI scene totally takes you out of everything else, and it's a travesty, but it is fun to watch because of that. There's one thing I want to touch on, and that's the whistling. The whistling, I think, is meant to be like this cute little character trait, but when it happens so often and it's coming from these creepy little mouths, like it's almost horrifying. I don't know if you got that too. Like it just like sneaks up because I can't whistle. I'm just humming it, but like it'll just like happen, and I'm like, ugh. Like it's almost like I don't know. It just freaks me out every time I see it. It's not like a sweet melody. I think it's because the score is really good, but it's also like a little kind of haunting. It's got like a haunting mysteriousness to it, and I think the whistling on top of that is just slightly off that score too. So it's like a little dissonant and like the whistling ekes me out.
It's very weird. So at the end of this movie, they become citizens of the United States of America. The Mac family does, and then they drive off into the sunset, I guess, but we are promised a sequel at the end. It says we'll be back. Dylan, what would you do to make that sequel a reality? Like what if you were making the sequel, what would you do?
I would plan it like 30 years in the future where everyone the whole civilization is dead except for these aliens, and Mac is now an old man, and he's like in charge of now humans from another planet end up on theirs, and now like the humans are on their alien planet, and it's like, or maybe it'll be say like 100 years in the future. I think 30 is not enough. Like so like 100 years in the future, and like everything has gone to waste, and like now the aliens are the humans, and the aliens are the aliens that we once thought of as aliens are the citizens. Kind of honestly like Avatar. Except instead of Pandora and the Na'vi, it's just a wasteland and these three little weird brown jumpsuit or bodysuit guys. I don't know.
You're pitching Planet of the Apes.
Okay. That's another one. That yes. I'm pitching Planet of the Apes, but I think that's one way you could do it. I don't know how you keep going with this group and this family unless you make maybe like a sitcom type thing where they're all just kind of like doing funny like things like fish out of water things as a family now.
I think that's how you do it. I think you do I think you do the American dream thing. They became citizens. Now they have to learn now they're living in America. You do set it, 30 years later. But Mac is now an adult and has a half Mac, half human child.
Wait. So you're insinuating that human would have had to sleep with Mac.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Take him to Pound Town.
I mean, yeah.
Adult Mac, not child Mac, because
right. No, it's still consensual, but just the fact that like someone would be with that looking. I shouldn't discriminate. They look cute, whatever. Sorry, but Mac's just not my type, I guess. Maybe someone else finds Mac to be very, very attractive, or at least that species, because Mac's a child. You can't call that. We're not going to get into that territory, but like, maybe Mac's parents. Maybe some people have the hots for Mac's parents. Maybe it's like some weird kink we just don't know about. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's how I'd said it. I'd said it as Mac and his wife have to deal with having a teenage daughter who is seeing a young boy with spina bifida, same as Eric, and
it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing where like they're two different families, and see, this could be a whole series, man. Like we do the one, and then it ends with Planet of the Apes. It ends with the creation of all mankind, and then like turns out they've taken over the world. That'd be really interesting though. Like I like that. Maybe you can go different genres too. Maybe you can do like a spy thriller where like Mac has to rob a bank or something.
And at the end, on each of them, there has to be an alternate ending where the most innocent person in the movie is shot and killed. But then you don't use it because you don't have the guts. And on the very last installment, we finally have the guts to kill a child.
I do think in the next movie, though, like they should pick a different product, like do Dunkin' or do Starbucks or do Subway.
Right.
And,
I doubt McDonald's.
Conan play Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
And then Paul Rudd play like Wendy from Wendy's or something like that.
For sure. I doubt that McDonald's is going to would take that risk again. But I bet we could get someone to Amazon, I'm sure. Like they're all getting packages from Amazon. Maybe Starbucks, Dunkin's a good one. America runs on Dunkin'. Maybe this newly American family runs on
Imagine
Dunkin',
giving Mac coffee. Like maybe coffee. Oh, maybe they like drink coffee and it shuts their system down. The opposite of Coke, and they have to like find Coke, but Coke is now like out of business, and they got to find a new place. So they find like Diet Coke, and it's like ooh. So they try it, and it works, but it also makes them slimmer. I don't know. We're going down a web. I don't even know. Anything else on what makes the movie great, Matt?
No, I think we're on to our superlatives here.
Great.
All right, so
we both kind of revealed our Framewreck moment.
That'll bring me to my worst line of dialogue, so I'll just go into this because it is in this scene. Courtney,
I think it's the same as mine, so let's see.
Courtney says to Michael, "What are we gonna do?" And Michael says, "I don't know. Just keep dancing. They'll think it's a teddy bear."
That's my line of dialogue.
The idea that if they just keep this thing that's supposed to be a toy teddy bear, if they keep it dancing, no one will notice. No one will notice that it's an alien or not supposed to be doing that. That one made me laugh every time. Which brings me to my worst actor, because like we said before, everybody's in here is pretty good. They're not bad. Yeah. My worst actor is whoever was in that teddy bear costume. Okay. And here's why. I don't want to be rude to that person. They were doing their best. I'm sure. But this probably isn't even their fault, but then they get up on that counter and everybody's like, let's watch the bear dance. That obviously this is a bear. This is obviously a teddy bear, not a weird alien thing. So let's just watch it dance. And it gets up on the counter and then just kind of sways. And like everybody's like, yeah. And it just like doesn't dance. Like it just kind of like I don't know. It's so weird. And just like whoever was in that suit, I feel like what added to my disbelief in this teddy bear, this whole teddy bear ruse working.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, one of the credited puppeteers, and I think that scene, you're right, there's someone in the suit, but for most of the movie, it's a puppeteer. And the one of the guys who puppeted was N. Brock Winkless IV, who the same year was the puppeteer for Chucky in Child's Play. So like you have this guy who gives off maybe one of the best puppeteer performances, and now this, it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's in contention for my worst as well, because it's like, yeah, it just does not make it realistic at all. And there's a way you can make it convincing that maybe this bear is moving like it. Like even E.T., bringing it back around to E.T. again, but like they put the sheet over E.T. to make him look like a ghost, and it's like, yeah, the audience knows it's not him, but it's enough that like other people wouldn't second guess it and be like, oh, it's like, because it's a sheet over a thing. It could be anything, and it's like here they cut the eyes out so you can kind of see him peeking through. It's like even that, like just put a mask over him, like don't put slits in him or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's messed up. Actor who elevated material for me, and I've already shown my hand on this, Christine Ebersole. I really,
we're lockstep today, Matt. We're lockstep.
It's so good. I just really love her. I thought she was great in this. She's generally just really great in everything. She really felt like a mom. I think she reminded me a lot of my mom, and that's probably why it worked for me so well. Just because and my mom was in a similar situation, so there was a lot of that. But also, I just like Christine Ebersole. I like her pretty much everything I see her in. So that was my actor who elevated the material.
As was mine. Yep.
Yeah, there we are. And we've already talked about train wreck moments. So let's talk about the score.
Ooh.
So if you don't know, with our scoring, it's on a scale of how bad it is versus how entertaining it was to me because it's bad. Meaning that a good movie would score very low on this scale. A very bad movie that's very entertaining would score very high, and a very bad movie that's not entertaining would also score low. So for me, my score on this, because I thought that it was a bad movie, I also found it entertaining, but the entertainment for me wasn't as much the badness as much as it was like the relatability and just like the kids aspect of it.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to give it 2 sips out of 5 life-saving cans of Coca-Cola.
Wow. Yeah. I'm a little bit on the other end because I do really think I think I had nostalgia for this, and then watching it back, I'm disappointed in how much I wasn't like, well, I remember that as a kid. I was just kind of like off put by the whole thing. I was like, I liked this as a kid. So I think because of that, it's almost like the reverse nostalgia of like, how did I enjoy this as a kid? But at the same time, there were things that I didn't notice as a kid that I found entertaining because they were bad. Stuff like the teddy bear, the dancing, the product placement, all the stuff I didn't pick up on. So I do think this is like top tier. I'm giving it 4 pink Cadillacs that will be back out of 5. Because I just love the pink Cadillac at the end as well. But still, I mean, that leads us to our Ashmore, which is where we, crown 4 of the founding fathers of, great bad movies. And we have 4 pretty big killers up there: Plan 9 from Outer Space, Troll 2, Birdemic, and The Room. And I don't know if this makes the 4, but this is in top maybe 6 or 7 for me, or top 5 even. Like this is close. This is close.
See, we're on opposite ends on this, because this one is closer to Nightmare on Elm Street 2 than it is to The Room for me. Okay. Not on a, because Nightmare on Elm Street I legitimately like as a movie.
Yeah, me too.
And it's it's like Nightmare on Elm Street and Battleship are in that same area, because Battleship is a bad movie I don't like, and Nightmare on Elm Street is actually a good movie that I do like. It turns out. So like they're on the same area of the thing. This is above that because it is worse and more entertaining than those 2 respectively.
You like it more than Battleship, but you think it's worse than Nightmare. But it's not worse than all the films on Mount Trashmore.
So
but it's
for
not more
me,
entertaining.
It's over there. For me, it's looking at Mount Trashmore from the road, and it didn't even get close enough to inspect it.
This film. I mean, they don't always. Sometimes they need to walk. They can't always take their bikes. But those 2 biking sequences in this movie are stunning. You know what I'm talking about? With the John Williams score, that just
I love that scene from this movie.
That is this movie. Oh,
yeah.
I'm glad I finally got one right. That wasn't E.T. Great. At the end, I'll be right here. Oh, so good. Love Matt. But yeah, so it's not gonna make Mount Trashmore today, but that's okay. It's still. I think it's fun to watch for all the right and wrong reasons. Like Matt said, it does get a lot of the family dynamics right. I said it gets a lot wrong. And it's entertaining for that. But any last words on Mac and me, Matt? I almost said Matt and me.
No,
which is gonna be funny.
No, I've got no more. We've watched it, and there it is. And I should have shown my kids, but they just were not interested in watching it at any point. I should have gotten their perspective on it a little bit, but I didn't. So there we are.
Well, hey, maybe if you want to watch it 6th time this month, you always can.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about what we're doing next. Actually,
sure. Yeah, I mean, well,
hold on.
What's up, man?
I didn't. I was picking December, and we were already recording one in December because we're doing this one because we're making up for November right now.
Yeah, so we got to do.
I forgot to pick the second one.
Matt, you had these scheduled like a year in advance. What do you mean you forgot?
What's up? I'm sorry. Somebody's at my house.
Yeah, what's up? Oh, someone's at your house? It's like 10 o'clock when we're recording this. What do you mean? Oh.
Okay, this is weird. Someone just handed this to me.
What's inside, Matt? I mean, do you want to open it here? We can call.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, let's see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a note inside. It says, "Don't forget the time I fought those green bastards." Signed, SC. I don't know what that means.
See.
There's a button. I'm going to press it.
Oh, are you sure you want to press it, Matt?
Yes, I have to press it. I'm going to press it.
Matt, why do you have to press it?
Because, do you know the first rule of Button Pressers Club?
Don't talk about Button Pressers Club?
No, that's a different club.
Okay.
The first rule of Button Pressers Club is you must always press the button.